has indeed been a bit of a busy day. Thank you very much for coming and joining the Nielsen Ratings, episode 28, where we're talking about all the weekly TV, film and shows that we've watched, old and new, that we want to recommend you. Bringing in my regular, slightly sleepy co-host, who fresh from his 7-hour karaoke live marathon. It's Depenzo Licious in the house.
Why did I do that?
I'm not sure, but do it here next time. I might stick it out with you. You never know.
Chilling.
I'm looking forward to the compilation edit of the entire thing. Were you sober?
No,
of course not. Missing in action, blue collar may turn up at some point when he wakes up in his Uber. In the meantime, the King of the North manning the wall against all foes, big and small. That rhymes. Look at that. North English bastard. Head of bollocks.
Hail, you beautiful bastard. Yes, I'm doing fine. I hope you are too. And even though I've just that was a very long stream, Stu Penzo. Bloody hell. Until lunchtime,
Well, I'm sorry, but if you're tired, I have no sympathy. So it's a violent nature tonight. We are going to be talking about that. Some people on the panel have seen it. Also, the inside man is here.
Good evening. How are you?
Listen, that's a voice full of fresh vitality and energy.
Thank you very much.
That's,
hello.
That's the expected standard to be maintained.
Oh, good evening. How are you?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, brilliant. Now, I've got two new guests joining us tonight. It's their first time on the Nielsen Ratings from different corners of the earth. Jacob Ironside, who I've already been on a couple of shows with, but it's his first time on my channel. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me, sir. I'm glad I could pop on here and discuss some good TV and movies.
Your voice just sounds like an advert for a sexy chocolate bar. That's all I'm going to say. So with that hanging in the air, quizzically,
a nice and creamy chocolate bar.
Exactly. We also have, talking of creamy critics, we have Critic Al Reviews.
Evening. Thank you very much for having me.
You are very welcome. That sounds like an English accent, so I feel you're in good company.
Slap bang in the middle of England, if I'm being completely honest with you. About as central as it gets.
About as central as it gets, okay. On that note, I'm going to move myself to the middle here. There we go. Whoa, look at that. So, I would have added Blue Collar at this point, but he's not here. So he may well join us at some stage. Now, we are doing a House of Dragons stream every Monday where myself and Blue Collar are talking about the show in depth. But I just wanted to touch upon it briefly because at the moment, it's not only the best thing I'm watching right now, but also the best thing I've seen in probably the last 24 months. I think that and the season 4 of For All Mankind, probably the two strongest shows I've been watching. Who else is watching House of Dragon on the panel here?
Me. It's really good.
So Northern, Jacob, are you watching?
No.
Okay, that's all right. Critical.
No, I hate to say that at the moment I am boycotting House of the Dragon purely on the basis that I started reading A Song of Ice and Fire in 1998 or 1999, first printing, and the bastard still hasn't finished the books. However, at this point, I don't think he's going to, so I'm probably going to have to watch House of the Dragon at some point.
I feel your pain, sir, and I completely understand your boycotting reasons. It is cracking good television, however.
No, I hear really good.
I'd recommend it. I really would.
Yeah.
Good script, good acting, really good direction.
And let's face it, good TV is hard to find at the moment.
It is. It is quite hard to find at the moment. I mean, not every show can be as good as The Acolyte, but, when you set
Leroy's here somewhere.
Don't invoke its name.
Remind me.
Don't invoke its name.
That's right. Say it 3 times and you know what's going to happen.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
3 lightsaber stabs through the chest, yeah?
They headbutt the lightsaber as well, and nothing happened. Come on, don't these people know how these fucking things work?
Well, I think
it's technically in the law. It's called cortisol, and it's like a special armor.
Yeah,
But everything else in this show
armor.
is not explained in any way.
That was the least thing that bothered me. The headbutt.
Oh god, yeah, no, yeah.
I didn't mind that actually. I kind of thought that was kind of cool, but
I prefer the days when lightsabers would just kill you. There was no plot armor around it. They were just dangerous weapons to have around.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, like the Force, it's just been warped, hasn't it, and twisted into whatever they need it to be now. So
yeah, it's a magical lesbian scissoring now, isn't it?
If we run out of absolutely everything else on the planet to talk about, we can come back to the delight that is the Acolyte. But
he said it again. Oh god!
That's two times. I mustn't say it a third. In the interim, however, let's talk about other things. So Stepenzo, your good self and somebody else have, I believe, watched a film called, remind me of the title again?
In a Violent Nature.
In a Violent Nature. A quick summary of the plot without any major spoilers, if you will.
Well, it's basically some kind of Jason Voorhees knockoff, but the whole movie's told from Jason's point of view. So it's basically like a guy walking around in the woods in silence and then killing people occasionally. And the death scenes are super violent. But other than that, it's like extremely,
So it's just a
methodical.
guy walking around in the woods, heavy breathing. So.
I'm not going to lie. I watched it at quadruple speed and I loved it. I thought it was awesome. So
maybe
I should like watching your shows at like strange speeds.
Well, so the thing is, there's not a whole lot going on, and I can speed read subtitles. So, you know,
I'll watch it while we're doing the stream. Just keep
when I was watching, when I was watching the, because like he's walking there's no music either. So the whole soundtrack is this dude's footsteps.
Yep.
And in real time, it's like step, step,
yep,
step. But when I was watching it,
to watch it
when I was watching it at 4 speed, it was like step, 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 step. So like that's how fast he's walking. So he'd just be walking over here. He'd cut this person's head off. He'd walk over here. If I could turn this woman inside out, walk over here, cut this guy's head off. It was awesome. And yeah, some really, really amazing death scenes. Specifically, the how do I describe this? The knot tying scene. I don't know. It was one of the best death scenes I've ever seen. Yeah, at the halfway point of the movie, man. Oh my god.
Did who else on the panel has seen it?
I watched it last night.
I haven't.
Okay, so is this a cinema? You've seen it at the cinema or online?
Online.
Okay.
I think it comes out at the cinema next week.
If you told me you hated this movie, I would be totally understanding of that. I'd be like, yeah, totally.
Well, I hated this movie.
Okay, Al, you hated the movie. Why did you hate it?
One of the main problems it has is, like Stepenzo says, 40 minutes of the movie is just following this killer from behind. Now, it's all very well to put a film from a killer's perspective, but when your killer is silent, he has to do something to let you know what's going on in their mind. Are they angry? Are they this? This dude just seems bored.
He's basically,
even when killing people, he just seems bored. He's just they're slow.
He's kind of Jason Voorhees, like amalgam. What's the word I'm looking for? Analogy.
Yeah, it's
rip off.
Cheap rip off, basically. I mean,
we still understood Jason Voorhees why he was killing those kids because he had a tragedy in that.
Well, there is like some backstory they give away in the exposition from the campfire tales, and there's something about a magic ring that's like kept him underground in his grave. So like when the ring is removed, he comes out of the grave, and basically the main quest is like get the ring back somehow, some way.
So basically, what happened is this guy was like a mentally. This isn't really a spoiler. He was a mentally challenged child or man, and he was bullied, and it leads to an accident, and he dies. And he comes back, and he's after this locket, and it's very sort of standard slasher stuff. He then works his way through a bunch of teams that are not paid by teen actors, but again. It's very boring. It's very ponderous. The kills there's no. It's lackadaisical, I would say, and the lack of having a film score although I feel that the director may well have been going for something arty with it, it just there's no soul to the movie.
Right.
Because that's what
also, when people get killed, they tend to not even react. You know, they just die and just like in silence, in shock.
Absolutely nothing. I mean, like the kill that depends on what was talking about, like the pretzel kill, as I like to call it.
The pretzel kill.
The pretzel kill. Yeah.
I like
as cool as it looks, it's like, how is she still standing during all that?
Yeah, she barely reacts as it's going on, and that's kind of the case from all the kills. So I'm doing a review for it tomorrow, and in the review I say, look, if there was an 11-minute supercut of the kills and one scene that I did find partly effective, where the killer, Johnny, his name is, finds a toy car and he's playing with it for a moment, and it's the only scene in the film where you see his face, presumably to save costs on makeup and special effects. And just for a moment there's something. There's just something alluding to character, backstory, maybe some torment, but then it's gone. And the film is just very bad.
I think what it's doing is kind of pointing out that all these dub slasher movies are inherently bad. By focusing solely on Jason, you realize like these movies kind of lack all kinds of depth when you really strip it down.
The other massive problem is it's all filmed in bright sunshine.
Yeah.
So, for example, those two girls on the lake, the river. Again, that kill is just there's nothing to it. The girl in the water just gets dragged under. It looks like a shark attack. She gets dragged underwater, comes back up, screams, and then she's dead. It's just it's
very art house.
I mean,
it's trying to be, but I don't think it works with this.
It sounds like the potential idea, i.e., seeing an entire slasher movie totally through the eyes of the serial killer, actually could have been a goldmine of an interesting movie. Unique perspective, explore some different narratives. But I feel by stripping back the other core elements of this kind of horror film, of which music and sound design is absolutely fucking vital, you are removing.
This movie's definitely not scary.
It's got such a heavy tread as well. You have to wonder how he sneaks up on anybody. That's the thing. That's the one.
Well, that was a common complaint about Jason. How is he always outrunning people, even though he never runs, and he's always, he's always there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a supernatural. This guy doesn't run anywhere. He just treads very heavily, and there's the semblance of a story there.
Yeah, what's great is like, for some reason this character has like supersonic hearing. So anytime they're like someone's within earshot, you can hear exactly what they're saying, like crystal clear. But it's great because like it goes so quickly from like kids around a campfire just telling stories to like the next time the killer shows up, the kids are all on high alert. Like, we need to get out of here. Like we've already missed like huge scenes of them like discovering bodies and knowing something's wrong, and all that stuff isn't even in the movie.
It's really not. I cannot emphasize how much of this film is just him walking in some very pretty Canadian countryside.
But maybe it is actually just like an expose of tropes. It's kind of exposing all of the tropes and saying kind of.
I think I enjoyed it because I watched the whole thing in like 30 minutes. So that's why I liked it.
Exactly. I mean, if it was a examination of tropes and some kind of art house commentary, then it needs to be more clever with it. Something like Scream, which is very explicit in the tropes that it plays up in the horror genre. This doesn't.
Scream actually has characters with names and stuff. Yeah, like none of that shit is important in this movie.
One of the dudes was called Troy. That's literally all I remember. Everybody else is in place. And what's with the ending, man?
The ending is wild. I don't get it.
It would have been about 2 minutes, but it's completely pointless. I'm like, what?
I think the ending was like, they give you like a good false, like, oh, the killer's coming. But instead, it's just like sequel bait. It's like, okay, but I mean, I wouldn't want another sequel for this, Like Terrifier showed up, and I was like, I want more Terrifier. Exactly. But this movie, it's like,
Somebody told me that this film had the most brutal kill they've ever seen, and I said, what, more than the Terrifier 1 upside down saw scene?
Dude, Terrifier 2, the bedroom scene.
Oh yeah, the salt man. Yeah, exactly, more than that. And it was like, and I was just like, right, Lance, you see this picture here, the poster?
Yeah.
Had the film been presented like this, so like a really high contrast, black and white with maybe red blood splatter or something,
Yeah.
then it could have worked. But being in bright daylight the whole time, apart from maybe the last, well, there's about a 15-minute section of the movie that's at night. For me particularly, it just didn't work. And if it is trying to make some kind of art house statement, I feel that it failed miserably, especially with the lack of score, which just rips any kind of soul out of the movie.
Yeah,
What,
I think the main thing was
what-
just showing off the cool gore effects.
Okay, so bearing in mind that Enzo saw it at times 4 speed and a 30-minute version as opposed to, I'm guessing, an 85 or 90-minute version, what would you score this film out of 10, guys?
I'd give it like a high 6, maybe low,
High
maybe
6. Okay.
6.66. There you go.
Pretty cow.
It's getting a 2 for me. I was bored all the way through it, and if you manage to make kills that are that violent and that gruesome, look as if the killer's doing it in a lackadaisical way, and I'm sorry,
Dude, when he kills people, you think he acts like a garbage man, like just taking out garbage, or like a plumber, like unclogging a toilet. Like it's just such a
and it's not like Jason, where Jason's just a monster, just a machine, just hacking through things.
Jason does this cool thing where he does his like chest breath, you know? You can tell
exactly. He flexes and stuff.
He's like
this
breathing,
just
and he's
seems
like
bored.
All right, two rhymes with poo. We're going to move on. So, in a violent nature, that's not really a strong recommendation, but maybe check it out if you like your slasher
At
stuff.
4 times speed.
Inside Man, you had a film you were dying to talk about this week.
Yeah, I've actually been watching a couple of Macaroni Combat movies, and I like my sort of little odd films here and there.
Give us the title.
It's called Eagles Over London.
Oh my God! Awesome.
It's a really, really good little film. It starts off Dunkirk.
Doesn't this reuse loads of other footage from several other movies?
Yeah, there were loads of other bits and pieces that were chopped into it.
And this is Enzo Castellari, isn't it? Quentin Tarantino's inspiration. Film director.
It's actually a good little movie. And so, as I say, it starts off at Dunkirk, the evacuation of Dunkirk. So we have this little little unit of Germans who want to infiltrate the evacuation. So they kill a few Brits, dress up, take their IDs, get over to London, where they're plotting to destroy this new radar system that's been developed in order to, eliminate any early warning system that we've got, for the Germans coming over and during the Blitz and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a basic plot, I know, but it is actually pretty good. But I just love these Italian movies. I think they're absolutely fantastic. I love the dubs. Some of the dubs are they're so wacky. But
I was tempted to get this Blu-ray. I have to say, because I do like my Italian rip-off films. Some of them are just without merit, but there are some that have. I just like how they're so inventive.
They really are
doing
really
certain
are.
things.
And nobody can do it like the Italians do them. And I mean, every single genre, whether it's Star Wars rip-off.
This is footage from Patton. Isn't it? Isn't this footage from Patton?
I stole from your movie.
I think this was actually before Patton. So
1969. Oh yeah, maybe was Patton 1970. I can't remember.
Yeah, I believe it was
70.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and but it is a good film, and like I say, the Italians, nobody does it like the Italians. Whether they're doing the kind of slasher, horror, peplum, giallo, spaghetti westerns, everything. Yeah, Lucio Fulci and Dario Argento. But yeah, they're great. I just love the Italians. I love I just love their wackiness, really. and there's
You're welcome.
shamelessness, you know. But the other one that I watched was one called Kill Rommel.
Not to be confused with Raid on Rommel.
No.
Yeah.
Kill Rommel, set in the North African desert. So we have this small British unit that are going out to kill Rommel. An American is
You never would have guessed that from the title of the film, would you?
No. It's a bit of a surprise, really.
Yeah, it must
in
have
the
been.
title. Yeah. So an American's attached to the unit. They pick up an Italian POW. So they capture this Italian sergeant. They're on their way to kill him, and of course everything goes awry.
I rented this, and this is another movie that reuses that footage of that bunker that they built on the coast, and there's the battle around that bunker. Do you know the one I mean? It's on it's from the movie to Raid on Tobruk or whatever.
Yeah. I know.
Where the tank gets blown upside down.
Yeah.
At the end, and they're trying to destroy all the drums and all of that.
Yeah.
This has got Anton Differing in it, who is the ultimate German actor to play your German officers.
Yeah.
But
I have to say, with this one, some of the camera work is really good. The colors are great. The shots, some shots are really, really good. You know, I mean, yeah, I'd even go as far as to say is, you know, David Lean worthy. They really are good. But it's not a bad little story. I mean, there was a plot to kill Rommel, as we know, that was carried out by the LRDG and the SAS during the Second World War. But this is nothing like that. He's from the Royal Tank Regiment, the captain, and of course you have a relationship a semi-relationship that isn't going anywhere between this American lieutenant and this English captain, and they're sort of at each other's throats, and they disagree with each other, and of course by the end of it, you know, they're all very, you know, huggy, not quite kissy, but you know.
I was going to say, I wonder where that was going from.
Yeah. And that one's actually available on YouTube.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, it makes it even better.
So, which do you think is the stronger one?
Oh God, I've got to be honest with you. I really enjoyed Kill Rommel. I really, really enjoyed it. The other one was a bit slow. I mean, pacey wise, there just seems to be an awful lot that needs to happen, but it happens, but incredibly slow. So there's a lot of gaps in between anything major happening. It is a bit slow, but it's an okay movie. It's not a bad film. Whereas this one, it's, you know, it's action all the way through, pretty much from start to finish. And some of the action is superb.
Right.
But yeah, Kill Rommel, available on YouTube.
The whole film. Eagles Over London, I think, is also all on YouTube, is it not?
I'm not sure, actually. I've got my own copy of that. In fact, I've got my own copy of both of them. But yeah.
What are you rating these movies out of 10? As this is called the Nielsen ratings, and we have to rate everything. I've decided from this point forward.
Eagles Over London, that's a 7. But I'd say Kill Rommel is a 9 for me.
Blimey, a 9.
Yeah, I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
As second comes right after first, I mean, we should obviously see the trailer for Eagles Over London.
1940 was a year of destiny, the year in which Europe came closest to catastrophe.
Lieutenant.
Yes, sir.
Take squad number 1 and put these guns out of action, then rendezvous with the rest of us.
Very well, sir.
Sergeant, man.
Yes, sir.
Get squad number 2 and 3 on the move. They've got to destroy the bridge, otherwise the retreating French will be surrounded.
Hard months were to follow. The collapse of Europe, the capitulation of Belgium, then France, the evacuation of Dunkirk. The bombings of London, the epic air battles over the Channel, as Hitler planned the invasion of England.
Gentlemen, the Fuhrer has finally decided on the operation called Marine Line. The invasion of England. Our planes have already started, and our victory is certain.
Gentlemen, France has asked for an armistice. We are now virtually alone before the threat of a German invasion. For the first time in history, this battle will be fought in the skies. The price is the salvation of England.
And so England found herself...
Oh, we're going to stop that there because I've got so much to say about it. I wasn't aware that Dunkirk was placed in the Mediterranean coast. It's quite warm weather, sort of coastal swim at the ocean there, but Italian production. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've got to watch this now. It's bonkers.
Yeah. They really are. There's a couple that I'm going to be watching for next week. One of them is the Dirty Heroes. Not really. Yeah, not really a Dirty Dozen ripoff.
No.
And the other one is Suicide Commando.
But I love the way they're dubbing one of the scenes, and they've dubbed the British officer, but with an Italian guy trying to do a British accent, and then the other guy is clearly English, but probably not really an actor, probably someone's butler in Rome or something. Like, yes, sir. This does this very kind of. That's just nuts, man.
Yeah. I think he's supposed to be Hungarian, actually.
Oh, is he? Is that
I think he's supposed to be Hungarian. Yeah.
Frederick Stafford has to be one of the most English names I've ever heard. Frederick Stafford.
Frederick Stafford. That is quite English-like. I mean, it sounds like someone who should be flying a plane.
Yeah, it's rather pilot-like, isn't it? Flight
Well,
commanders.
Kill Rommel is available on YouTube. Eagles Over London might be available on YouTube. If not, I'm sure you can find it. Frederick Stafford, yeah. I did like this shot, which is on it's on IMDb. Basically, a load of planes painted on glass, in stuck in front of a. I mean, it's they actually use that as a technique for doing some of the special effects in Bridge Too Far. So it's not as stupid as it sounds. Yeah. A lot of the planes in Bridge Too Far, whenever there's more than 8 planes, because they only had 8 Dakotas for Bridge Too Far, there's more than 8 Dakotas in a shot. The rest of them are painted on glass and put in the background, forced perspective or whatever. So all pre-CGI.
They know you found a way. You couldn't rely on computers.
No, indeed. So I did like the way that it cut from the shot of the British to the German fleet, but strangely they're flying at night time, and it felt like it was the same scene. I might be wrong, but yeah, mate, I've got to see this. Tell you what, I like that poster. That's a good poster.
Yeah, the poster art for some of these are really good.
Yeah,
all of the Italian stuff. All of the Italian stuff. I mean, whether it's the sword and sandals peplum stuff, whether it's the spaghetti westerns, they're really, really, really good. Really lovely pieces of art.
And it's amazing how many times these would get released every few years on video, sometimes with a different title. So that people would be confused into renting them again, which was the
exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look at that classic old VHS cassette. That's a proper old one. That one.
Some of those posters remind me of the old Commando comic that used to get.
It's funny you say that. It's funny you say that, and I'm glad that you mentioned that, because it was the first thing that popped into my head last night about mentioning. And what I was actually going to say was, anybody who read any of the war picture libraries, any of the battle picture libraries, or Commando or Warlord or Victor or all of those sorts of comics, these movies are exactly like that. they're exactly like it.
Did
It's like
somebody go, Gotten Himmel?
in actual fact, there is it's actually a scene in Kill Rommel and it was the scene that reminded me of it, where there's an attack on these Germans, and this German just shouts out, Gott in Himmel, Gott in Himmel.
Brilliant.
So, yeah.
Well, let's turn to my new guests. Jacob Ironside, again, welcome, sir, for the first time to Nielsen Rating. What have you been watching lately, film or TV, old or new, that you would like to bring to our viewers' attention?
Well, I've been watching mostly older stuff lately.
That's all fine. Hey, Eagles Over London, not a recent Netflix ad, just so you know. So you're in good company. What would you like to give a shout out to that's been good?
Well, one comedy that I think everybody should watch is Faulty Towers.
Hey.
Yeah.
Good old classic.
Yes.
God, that is such a good program.
Talking about things you can't make now.
Yeah, it's the blueprint.
Indeed. Have you only just seen it for the first time?
No, I've watched it over and over again several times.
He's trying to get his British homie clout. Say, hey, fellow Brits, I'm one of you.
That's all right. You're allowed to appease us here.
Faulty Towers. Yeah, that's a good one.
It is a good one. There's only, unless I'm mistaken, there's only 6 episodes, isn't there?
12 episodes.
Right, that's what's so great about British shows. You're like, oh my god, this show has 5 seasons, and you're like, oh, it's only like 20 episodes total or something like that. It's like, it's amazing how that works out.
Everybody
it's
always
it's like what British says in Community. They give you closure.
Everybody always thought there were more episodes of 40 Towers.
Dude, Mr. Bean. There's only like a dozen Mr. Bean episodes or something like that. Not a lot.
Yeah, no, there's not loads. This got repeated so often. That's why people thought there were more. Oh my god, that's that teacher from Grange Hill. What's his name? The first main teacher from Grange Hill, Inside Man. You'd know this. Mr. Baxter.
That's it. Yeah, Bullet Baxter. Yeah, he plays the
Baxter
Irish.
from Grange Hill.
Yeah, he plays the workman, doesn't he? The one of the workmen.
The ugly big ape right before he smacks man.
For those people for those American guests who don't know what Grange Hill is, Grange Hill is the British low rent equivalent of Beverly Hills 90210.
Got to theme tune.
Except without any of the sunshine, budget, or glamour. Set in a school. Yeah. There's a really good podcast actually where they're interviewing all the cast from it called Sausage on a Fork. It's a really good podcast. But yeah, and
Gen Z aware of 40 Towers yet? Because I can't imagine they'd be very impressed. They don't even like Friends.
Yeah, no, I can't believe people are taking Friends apart. But if you've been to America, and you've gone to the communities, I mean, pop quiz, like a lot of the communities don't mix racially in the United States, not even now in some states.
It's 90s and it's a load of middle-class young people hanging around in a coffee bar. It's right. It's just right. Don't get me wrong. It's just,
Yeah. This is John Cleese's actual real wife of the time, by the way, Connie Booth.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, I think by the second season, I think they're divorced by then.
Okay.
Yeah, because he'd had an affair with Manuel, so
Mr. Faulty.
That explains why he kept hitting him in an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
That's probably one reason there's only 2 seasons.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, 12 episodes. That was it.
Yeah.
The thing is, he's a very unlikable guy, but because he's so pathetic, you can't help but be engaged every time he gets up to something. He's a total snob. He's really spineless, and you just love him anyway.
Yeah,
I mean, you also kind of the wife is, quite horrendous. No one wants to be.
She is. Yeah,
she's wonderful. I mean,
yeah, but without her, the entire hotel falls apart.
God, she was a pain in the ass in that episode, but God, it's so funny. Just watching, you can see he's dying to fucking punch her.
Yeah.
I remember this
So
one
what
with the
would,
Moosehead.
What would your favourite be, Lance? What would your favourite episode be?
Oh, the Germans, without doubt.
Continentions of war.
The duck one is very funny as well. It's just when he brings in the fucking fudge and he's like scrambling around trying to find the duck inside it. It just cracks me up every time.
Now that
So the
actor,
Prime Goebbels, Hermann Goering.
He's been in a few, yeah. He's in Long Good Friday as well.
yeah, I was just about to say that actor Brian Hall is in Bob Hoskins' gang in the Long Good Friday. He was also in Minder.
And McVicker.
Yeah, Vicar,
yeah.
I don't think he's still with us.
No, he actually passed away quite young, actually.
Yeah, that's right. He did, didn't he?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Why the hell did he do that?
Well, so I could say it on this show, Stepenzo, and annoy you.
Right. You know what? My favorite John Cleese thing ever is in Meaning of Life when he teaches those kids about sex ed by having sex with his wife. In front
With
of
the teacher on the.
Actually,
This is why
That's a good segue. I wouldn't
He's
mind
like
doing that.
inside his wife, and he's like, "What's that you're playing with there?" It's like, "It's an ocarina, sir." It's like, "Bring it here."
Pay attention, Humphreys.
So did I not discuss vaginal juices?
Yeah, the meaning of life is some people consider it like the weakest of the Monty Python.
No, it's my favorite.
It's my favorite as well.
They all get progressively better, I think, the Monty Python movies.
I really like the meaning of life. I think it didn't do that well financially, but I think by the time
It's
it
too
came
dark.
out,
It's very dark and cynical and fucked up, and but I love it because of those things. But yeah, like Mr. Creosote and the Catholics. And,
That
fascinating.
apparently that every sperm is sacred section. That was also at one point was released as a short film as well. That whole episode.
yeah, that got banned in Ireland, didn't it? Because of
Yes,
that
it did.
song.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it did.
And that street where they filmed that sequence is the same street that you see in A Bridge Too Far, where the fleet is coming over the top.
Ah, right. Okay.
It's the same location. I've always been trying
Dude,
to
what
work
about
out what it is.
before the movie starts, the Crimson Permanent Assurance?
Oh, that's
yeah,
brilliant.
It's one of those things that I thought was the stupidest part of the movie as a kid. I hated it. I would fast forward it, and as I got older, I'm like, nah, dude.
No,
like
it's one of the best bits, and then it reappears again in the middle of the film, and that couple of like, this is where we came in.
Oh, dude, in this cafe where they're like in the dungeon eating, and they're like branding like dudes on the walls. Oh, like they're all screaming in pain, being tortured as they're eating.
And of course, you can't mention Meaning of Life without the fantastic Eric Idle Universe song.
Yeah,
Indeed. Jacob, have you seen this movie, Jacob?
I actually have not seen this one.
Oh yeah,
Oh
you'll love
my
it.
God.
The Grim Reaper scene, death. When they start talking about death.
Salmon pate or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. He's like, okay. If we all died, then how did it happen? And he like puts his finger in the air, and he points. He's like, the salmon moose. And he's like, oh my God, you didn't use canned salmon, did you, dear? It's like, I'm so dreadfully embarrassed.
Most awfully embarrassed.
What about the one where he
everyone.
leads everyone to this his old family home, and he's having this really nice moving scene talking about his childhood, and then he goes, right then, fuck off.
Yeah, no, I remember that.
That's after the
they're
Mr.
like,
Creosote
they don't
thing, isn't
say
it?
anything.
Yeah, straight after the creosote thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm trying to remember this scene. I remember laughing my ass off. Giving the commander all these fucking unnecessary gifts, aren't they? Yeah.
He made that. He baked that cake in the trenches with his blood and sweat and tears.
Well, if you haven't seen this, Jacob, and you liked 40 Towers and you like Monty Python,
Yeah, I know everyone loves Holy Grail. I mean, I think we were supposed to watch Holy Grail in school. Like they just like, hey, that was like the teacher being nice. You know, we're gonna throw you a bone and we're gonna watch Holy Grail. But
Bento, it would be great if you could get this still and stick all of our faces on this.
Oh God!
Where,
All right,
where the fish are.
Sure thing.
Add it to the big
where
list.
that fish could be.
Yeah.
It went for
Melvin did mention him biggest because it's kind of obvious. It's kind of it's just two people. It's just a bunch of people trying not to fucking laugh over a stupid bloody name, and it's just genius.
I do love Monty Python when
the bit where he has to write down Romans go home.
Yeah.
But he's
Yeah,
got the
is it now?
Latin
Conjugate
one,
the verb.
comes over and corrects it. It's just so good.
Jacob, as we hijacked your topic before you got to say too much, tell us something else you've been watching that you would like to recommend.
Yeah, I just recently finished watching Firefly for the umpteenth time.
Yeah.
I need to rewatch that again because that was such a good show. That really was.
The first time I saw Firefly, I thought it was shit. Now, I only watched a couple of episodes and I was just like, nah, don't like it. Cowboys in space, not a fan, blah. And then it was quite a few years later that I just watched the whole thing all the way through. And I was like, this is one of the greatest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, plus they changed the order of the episodes around. So,
Yeah, I think that's what screwed it for me, to be honest.
It was, yeah.
I think you just matured with age.
That too, possibly.
It scores
you know,
8.9 on IMDb. I've got the box set. I've watched it twice. I do like it, but I probably watched it, over 12, 13 years ago, last time I saw it.
I mean, once you get into it, the whole cowboy thing.
It's got some of the greatest characterization.
It's like on the
Am I in
edge
minority here?
space.
But is Joel State
Guys,
one
one at a time. Can you? Jacob brought this up. Can we let him speak?
Oh yeah, come on.
Right. Sorry,
Well,
Jacob. Go ahead.
Once you really get into it, the whole cowboy thing makes sense because they're like on the very edge of space, and it's basically Old West in space. So it makes sense the way they set it up. It's really, really good. Love it.
The reason I always liked it was because I was a big fan of that 1980s Peter Strauss movie, Space Hunter. And that was kind of like a sort of Western in space. You know, he was kind of like a merc sort of taking on missions and going looking for people. And this kind of had a similar vibe to that. And I thought the world building with Firefly and the characters was something that made it really strong. Is that, that's, unless I'm mistaken, that's the actor that was originally supposed to play Aragorn.
Is it really? I know he showed up in loads of sci-fi.
That's what's his. I'm 90% sure that's him. And his name temporarily escapes me. He shot stuff. He shot like for about a month before they realised it wasn't working. So
a little short for Aragorn.
Well, this was one of the problems, was that he had this kind of sort of baby face. And
he's not kingly enough, is he?
I mean, it just wasn't. They were looking at the footage, and it just wasn't working with the other characters. He just didn't quite have it, and then they suggested getting a sexy Scandinavian in. Can't disagree with that, and it all just came together.
And of course, Sean Connery was going to be playing old Doodle, wasn't he? Gandalf, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't understand the script apparently, and even when he saw it, he still didn't understand it.
Connery was up for playing Gandalf originally.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
Oh,
He was.
They wanted him to anyway.
Yeah, he was pretty much there.
I mean, that could have worked. I could see that. You know, with the long, what if they'd done the same costume with him and everything? I could see it. But I'm glad that they got Ian McKellen, because he has the sort of he's got the warmth.
He's got the geniality that Gandalf's supposed to have. Yeah.
Whereas Sean Connery's more, don't park your yacht next to mine, my villa kind of situation going on.
I've got no problem slapping a woman.
Other story. Has this stood the test of time? Is it even better now than it was then?
I think so.
Yeah, because everything now is so terrible.
Melvin Deeply. I still have the 3D specs from Space Hunter. Yeah, I got the soundtrack to that movie. I think that movie's underrated, actually.
On vinyl,
yeah,
no doubt. On vinyl.
My sax player's Christmas tradition is to watch all of Firefly and Serenity.
Yeah, I saw Serenity at the cinema. And then I went out and bought the Firefly box set because I thought, well, this looks good. So that's what made me watch the TV show.
I'll try and watch it every couple of years.
Yeah, it's good that they made Serenity up, because it did bring a lot of closure, even though they probably had to pack a lot into that film.
Yeah. I think, considering we're never going to get another season of Firefly, I think Serenity does what it needs to do quite well.
Yeah,
is there any graphic novels of it though?
The Firefly ship even gets a cameo in the 2-part Battlestar Galactica
It does. You're right. It takes off from is it Caprica before it gets destroyed?
Yeah, I think so.
Yep. Yeah, you see it in the background. I remember that.
Yeah.
Aaron Charman is asking where can he see it. I've got the DVD, so
yeah, you can pick it up on DVD or Blu-ray cheap. It's not expensive.
Isn't it on Netflix?
There's national episodes of it.
is it available on any platforms? I think is where he's.
I think it's on Hulu. It's on Hulu with the subscription, and it's on the CW for free. Whatever the hell that is. CW's got us. CW has their own streaming service now. Oh God!
I'm just thinking about it now. There are so many good episodes of Firefly. Like you've got Jamestown, you've got the hospital heist.
Yeah, Jamestown was a good one because it humanizes his character as well because he's kind of been this like make out for himself, hasn't he?
That's what's so good about Firefly is the character development.
It is.
There's so much of it, and you know exactly how any character is going to act. And they do act that way, and it's perfect.
And it never felt a betrayal to his character either, did it? It never felt like he was betraying who he was. He still remained who he was. It just had a little bit of a pang of conscience.
And he had so much edge to him as well. Mal's a really, really good character because you can see he's been affected by what happened to him in the war and the fact that he lost, and you can see that it's killing him, absolutely killing him. But he has his code. But if you fuck him over, like. He can be absolutely ruthless.
Yeah,
so I think Mal's one of the great sides
because he tried to bloody sell out Summer Glau on her brother.
Yeah, just with the airlock. Yeah. It's fantastic. It's really, really good.
He even says
really good I remember the one where he gets shot and the whole thing is a flashback. That's so good as well. And the one with his wife. There's so many good episodes, man. It's such a good show.
Jump in, Jacob.
He even says in the show, if somebody tries to kill you, you try and kill them right back. So.
Yeah. There's my favorite character.
Zoe.
Yeah, absolutely. 2007.
It's great because the thing is, like
Christina Hendricks.
Again, she's what you would call a strong woman girl boss. But back then, it really didn't seem like it at all.
No.
Like
all the characters
because it was rare.
Well developed.
She absolutely was, though, but without it sort of feeling forced or.
She never really diminished any of the men, though, did she?
The problem nowadays is every show has the girl boss, so like they're not special and they're not cool when they happen. Now it's annoying. It's like, oh god, here another one.
I think the problem is nowadays the only way they can make a girl boss powerful is by diminishing the men next to her to make her look better.
Yeah. But I want to bring back more Willies. A Willie from Temple of Doom. Like every woman should just be like a terrified like little girl now. Like just go the exact opposite direction now. I think that'd be funnier.
Yeah, I think feminine strength can be a very powerful thing. I think feminine strength. Galadriel has it in spades. Ripley has it in spades, and even Sarah Connor has it in spades. But I think Hollywood has just forgotten how to portray feminine strength, and now they just do everything through the masculine. And that doesn't work.
Critic, talking of which, it's your choice. So what would you like to plug that you have seen recently?
Yeah, I have actually seen a good film recently. I watched it just the other night. It was on Netflix. It's a German film called Blood and Gold.
Oh, thank God for that. I wondered where you were going for a minute. So, Blood and Gold. Oh, do you mean the war movie?
Yes.
The war movie. Oh yeah, no.
2023. It's German shot, and it's basically almost like a spaghetti. It's very Tarantino-esque.
It's very similar in style to that other one that we got earlier in the year. In fact, these two came out. Yeah, Sisu.
Yes, it is very much. Well, it's kind of like Sisu. Yeah.
It's very like Sisu, but
it's got similar ideas in it. It's not quite so much one man versus an army doing crazy.
No, it's more like a town. It's more like a town.
Yeah, it's in a town. Yeah. But I really enjoyed it, and one of the reasons I really enjoyed it is because the film I'd watched previously to that was Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, which was mediocre to say the least.
Yeah, I wasn't blown away by that either. I'll be honest.
One of the problems I had with the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare is a bit like the Bike Riders, really. They fictionalized so much of the film, but somehow they couldn't make it interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to believe, isn't it, that something that's so spectacular and so such an incredible story that can be turned into.
The premise is incredible.
It really is. It really is. I mean, you read any of the books that are about these people, and it's amazing.
Yep.
It's amazing. The feats that they performed, the things that these guys did, was incredible.
And I know why they made the stuff up that they made up, because if they didn't, you've basically got a film that's got nothing but white men in it doing stuff, and you can't have that, especially from Amazon. So I understand that, but it was just, I felt it was compromised so heavily by that other half of the movie.
Especially Marjorie Stewart, who was a white woman and she's played by a Latin actress. And, you know, they could have had Eliza Gonzalez in this film as like one of the Spanish women that fall in love with one of the soldiers, because that did happen in the book. They could have had that.
Yeah, I mean, she wasn't on the ground anyway, the operation anyway. And, you know, the other characters were made up and amalgamations of other people. I'm just like, if you're going to compromise a film by modernising it, then you might as well just make the whole damn thing up. Because I felt it really compromised the film. I didn't really enjoy it. But this Blood and Gold, although it's nothing spectacular, it was so much fun to watch.
I'll check this out. It looks pretty good.
Being honest, it's really good.
I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10.
Yeah, pretty much 8 out of 10.
I'd give Sisu a 9 out of 10, 9.5. Yeah. I'd give Blood and Gold a solid 8 out of 10.
I think one of the problems I had with Sisu is there was just too many over-the-top moments that stretched believability in it. And
yeah, but because it was because it set that tone fairly early on. I
agree.
This isn't a realistic war film. This is slightly out there. I didn't mind that.
I mean, it was actually. I mean,
he's superhuman in that film.
I mean, I'm rewatching Sisu. And it's funny enough, that was one of the films that I watched this week as well. No. It is a spaghetti western. It is actually a spaghetti western.
And this is very much in that vein. It really is.
Yeah, very much.
But it's very good. Basically, you've got a deserter who wants. It's set in the final sort of days of the war. So Germany is retreating, the Americans are invading, and the Nazis are basically looking to get what they can. And there's this town that's got a rumor of having lots of Jewish gold in it that they want. And one of the unit deserts because he wants to get back to his daughter in Germany. They find him, they hang him. This woman finds him, brings him back, and then he has to fight them to save the town, kind of thing. But there's a lot of stuff in it. There's some really shocking moments. And I love this, not just the score, but the music in the film is all German sung songs.
Yeah.
And it really adds an air of the desperation and the hardship that this town's experiencing. I just really enjoyed it. And as I say, compared to Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, I think it's like Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, I give a 4 or a 5, being generous. This,
I give that a 6. It was entertaining, but I felt tonally it was all over the place. It should have been more realistic. It was about a true story with real characters that actually really died in the war, but they went tonally. They went all Dirty Dozen.
Yeah, well, there was no danger.
Meets Quentin Tarantino. Before we discuss any further, I'm going to also bring in for the first time on the Nielsen ratings, amateur analyst is in the house. Hey,
yo.
Evening.
Welcome.
How's it going?
Good.
It's going, and we're talking about shows and films that we would recommend that we've seen, old or new, sir. So I'll come to think of a choice. I'll come to you in a second. We're just doing a Critic House choice.
Yeah, it's Blood and Gold. It's on Netflix. Yeah. Check it out. It's 2023, and I really enjoyed it. It's nothing spectacular, but it's solid. It's violent. It's fun in places. There's a dark humor to it, which again lends to the kind of Tarantino-esque of it. The opening titles for the film are straight Tarantino.
Yeah. I mean, you know where you're at with it from the word go, don't you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't say that there was any surprises or it blew me away in any way, but I cared about the characters. The dynamics of the film were well represented. There were some shocking moments where I was like, whoa, okay, that's really sort of a bit out there. And the problem I had with Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, there's this scene towards the end of the film, and they're getting onto this boat, and they're just literally mowing down Nazis with impunity. They've got silent machine guns.
I found that really annoying, especially when they walked through that camp and just shot everyone as they were walking through. And I thought, This is kind of almost like a Monty Python scene.
Yeah, it really was. There's no investment, there's no danger, there's no suspense or tension. And the funny thing is, the actual operation took place with barely a shot being fired.
Yeah.
Until the very end. You know, and yeah, I mean, Ministry of Henry Cavill gets really unlucky because he's not bad in it. He does an okay job. All the actors, in all honesty, do an okay job. I just felt the film was so heavily compromised by the insertion of that second storyline that they had to put in to make the film match up to social standards and diversity quotas.
I know. You've seen a black guy walking around where Nazis are, and he's not getting any hassle whatsoever.
Yeah, that was just total nonsense.
Exactly. He's been pretty much respected by the Nazis because he hosts parties or something. And I'm like, and again, that character is totally made up for the film.
Yeah, never would have happened.
Never would have happened. The problem is, Lance, it just takes me out of it immediately. Whereas this film, 2023, totally feel at home. I'm like, yeah. No,
to be fair, on that in itself, that kind of thing did actually happen in Paris. There was actually quite a lot of black musicians that were still working in Paris during the occupation, and
sure,
yeah. So that did actually, you know.
Yeah,
so,
no, I mean,
so it's not.
I'll
Yeah.
give you, but.
Yeah.
But this
I can't
is
remember.
like,
This is Spain.
This is on an island with a Nazi U-boat base.
Yeah,
and it's like I'm hosting a party a couple of doors down.
Was it Crete? Wasn't it? It was supposed to be Crete.
It's definitely the Mediterranean. Yeah.
Somewhere. It was a Greek island or something.
Yeah.
But it was all shot on the coast of Spain, wasn't it? So Blood and Gold, rating out of 10. Yeah, I
match your 8, Lance. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I give it an 8. Anyone else seen it?
No, but
I will try
I'm
and
going
watch
to
it.
now. I will now.
No, I want to check it out.
Yeah, me too.
Before I jump on our new guest, not literally, Critic, did you have one other thing you wanted to recommend that you've seen?
No, not really. I just wanted to compare this to Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare and say that was rubbish.
Well, in that case,
that was all right, I guess.
Well,
in that case, we will jump on.
I do have to go.
Jacob, you've got your own show coming up, haven't you, mate?
Yeah, got to start getting ready for that.
All right, well that's fine. So I'll let you duck out. Listen, thanks so much for coming on the channel.
Hey,
thanks for your
thanks for
recommendations,
inviting
and you're welcome back
cheers, mate.
anytime.
Yeah, thank you.
Pleasure, dude. See you around.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Have a good show.
Bye, y'all.
So, analyst, you've now made it nice and sequential again, like the Brady Bunch. So, have you got anything you'd like to recommend apart from Top Gun, which is already on your hat?
Yeah,
you can recommend Top Gun if you want, because we do older films. Why am I the only person on camera?
We do.
We do.
Benzo's on camera.
Okay, I'm going to put this. Looks very unsymmetrical. So there we go. We got means to
your ADHD is like it's showing right now.
So what?
I say you have to have everything all even and you got OCD. That's what's going on. Your OCD.
OCD. There you go.
In the middle. It's good.
Amateur. Sorry, mate. What have you seen that you'd like to recommend, old or new, TV or film?
Well, the last thing I saw, I didn't really care for. Real Steel, but with Hugh Jackman in it.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I found it really campy and boring, and I hated the kid. He was super annoying.
That's the Rock'em Sock'em Robots movie, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And who was the kid? He grew up to be something, right? What was he?
Oh shoot, I'm not even sure. He looks damn familiar.
I remember he was annoying for sure.
Well, it's funny because we had a production meeting
a sequel to that.
For my last movie, Round My House, the first production meeting, and when it finished, we everyone decided to stay and watch a film, and the toss-up was between this, which most of us hadn't seen, or Space Hunter, which I recommended that some people hadn't seen, and we picked Real Steel, and I have to say I thought Space Hunter was better. So
I mean, this movie is like fun, but it's basically Rocky with Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Nothing special, nothing new.
Yeah, but the thing with Rocky though is you like Rocky. You don't like Hugh Jackman in this. He's just
or
every
the
time
kid.
he's got a decision to like do the right thing, he does the wrong damn thing. And like,
it's like
kids
Uncut
there to
Gems.
rescue him.
It's like
fuck
Uncut
off.
Gems with Adam Sandler constantly doing the wrong thing over and over again, and you're like, why are you fucking up constantly? Yeah, same thing.
So
it's brutal. Like he has everything figured out at like halfway through the film, and then he just fucks it right up, and it's like, come on, dude.
Oh yeah, and he's like dating which hot? Oh yeah, Jessica Biel. Yeah, some hot young lady half his age is like all over him.
Oh, it's Evangeline Lilly.
Oh, that's her.
Fine
Yeah,
in this.
Yeah,
but they have like zero chemistry. She's got like no reason to be with this guy at all. You just don't buy it.
No,
it's like, what is this? I don't even think I finished it. I think I fell asleep.
it was one of those bizarre visions of the future where it's like everything's exactly the same except we have robots.
Yeah,
right.
One thing I would recommend, because I saw it right before this, because I was just sort of on a Hugh Jackman bend for some reason, but Van Helsing.
Van Helsing is
weird
good
movie. There's some effects that like don't really sell that well anymore. Like they've aged pretty bad. There's a couple weird creative choices, but I gotta say the casting and like the acting in that film is great. The guy who plays Dracula, that's like perfect casting.
One of my favorite scenes ever is when Dracula's like trying to monologue and clap about the heartbeat, and he can't do it as an actor. Like speed up your heartbeat as you're talking. So he like starts just like, doing some random like spazzing out. I don't know. I imagine it took like 80 takes to get that one right.
Didn't notice that, but
I love I love the werewolf like ripping his skin off, changing.
Yeah.
I saw this at the cinema, and I was expecting it to be on par with the vampire movie. I'm right. You started, Gary. I'm taking you out. Okay.
Underworld.
So, sorry, Inside Man getting the giggles, so we got to remove him temporarily.
It's either Blade or Underworld. You're not talking about Twilight, are you?
No. Blade. I was expecting it to be more like Blade.
Yeah, it's not as good as Blade.
No, it's like the Mummy with the it's very. I mean, it's the same guy.
It's done by the same guy, Stephen Summers, who did the Mummy.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Right.
I thought this was an awful film, but it's absolutely a guilty pleasure.
Yeah,
I love it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
See, the thing is, like Real Steel and Van Helsing, very like similar tonally and kind of like what they're going for. But yeah, one of them is fun to watch, and one of them is not. One of them is good cringe, and the other one's bad cringe.
Yeah, pretty much. I'd watch this over Real Steel any day.
Why is that? They're like I don't understand.
Let's rate this out of 10. Inside Man, have you seen it?
No.
I like the way you took a breath there to compose yourself. Well done.
some pizza and watch it.
Critical, what would you give this film out of 10?
I saw it a long time ago. It came out at that time when Hollywood was just doing loads of this. They were like, just all of this, we'll just do all of this. It didn't match up well to most of it. I'd give it honestly, a 4 for technical merit and what kind of thing it is, but the guilty pleasure will put it up to a 6 because it is a fun watch. There's fun stuff in it, but I just don't
stay there, Lance.
Amateur. What would you?
Yeah, I'd probably have to I totally agree. I'd have to give it like a 5 because it does do some things really well, like atmosphere wise, set design. There's a real artistic thing, and plus, I think this is the best Kate Beckinsale has ever looked. So
I was about to say it does some things really well.
I'm sorry,
Kate Beckinsale.
Oh yeah, her accent is brutal though. Like it almost ruins the movie.
Yeah, this is a 18th century Romanian gypsy woman, folks. This is what she would look like, right?
Can we get a short?
I've been to Transylvania, oddly enough, and you're lucky to have teeth if you live anywhere near Bran Castle. It's just so poor there. At least it was when I went there.
Can we get a clip of this movie up with her talking? I want to hear this accent again. I totally forgot she did an accent for this film. Enzo, do you think you can find something?
You got it. It's almost Keanu Reeves levels bad. It's not.
Sorry, I actually thought that we were talking about the other movie. What was it? The Steel something or other.
Rock'em Sock'em. We all decided that was terrible and we should move on.
Yeah, sorry, I was laughing too much. Van Helsing, seen it, yeah.
Did you want to say anything extra about the Rock'em Sock'em Robots movie?
No, you didn't see it.
No, I didn't see that.
Oh, okay.
Didn't see that.
So, sorry. So, Inside Man, you have seen Van Helsing. What would you give it out of 10?
Good 6.5. Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I give it a 5, but 6 for Kate Beckinsale's hair.
Yeah.
Northern.
Yeah, I give it a 6, but maybe an extra 0.5 for Kate Beckinsale and a corset.
Right.
Yeah.
This has got to be Eastern. This has got to be Eastern Europe where they shot this. I reckon. Is it? I mean, I know that's a set, but this feels like one of those movies that would have been
It
shot
doesn't
in.
look anything like Transylvania in reality. There's no snow-peaked mountains. There are mountains, the Carpathians, but they're not snow-peaked. It's not like this. Almost looks like Hungary or somewhere in the Alps.
Wow, that's Richard Roxburgh.
Yeah, he's fun in this. He's fucking fun.
He's fantastic in this.
He's such a good actor.
Agreed.
Yeah, he really is a good actor. No, but this film just feels like one of those movies that would have been shot at that film studio in Prague. You know?
Yeah, I think that's kind of.
Yeah. I forgot that Frankenstein was in it.
And Robbie Coltrane is in this randomly at the beginning for like 2 minutes as this really bad effects creature.
Isn't that the capital of? Isn't that Bucharest? Isn't that the capital?
I think it's
famous capital building.
I think it's
Bucharest, Romania, isn't it?
Bucharest is in Romania, but it doesn't look like there's no river running through it. To my
I'm thinking of the.
I think this is Budapest.
Budapest, thank you. Yeah, but I was getting Budapest and Bucharest mixed up.
Every single
is the capital,
thing,
though. You're right.
Every single thing about this picture we're seeing is so goddamn silly. This jacket Van Helsing's wearing, and his hair, and Frankenstein, and it's so everything. Like,
and you got a weird one.
He looks boss in it though.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's check out Kate Beckinsale's accent. So quiet, please.
Pretty much.
You. Turn around.
Oh yes.
Let me see your faces.
Why?
Because we don't trust strangers.
What kind of? Why would she look like that?
All right, that's enough. Pause it there.
Yeah, you can just pause on
We
that
don't
picture.
trust strangers. We Transylvanians stick together.
Meanwhile, grumpy extras who've not been paid advance on director.
One thing I'll give that film is Hollywood understood at that stage and accepted at that stage that sexy ladies get people watching.
Oh hell yeah!
You know, so I'll give it that. And it's silly.
It's like,
Oh my God, Nick's here. Who's an actual Transylvanian? Nick's is an actual Transylvanian. He can establish here. And I think
do they chicks look like that? Nick's running around.
Yeah, but I think it was Budapest that I meant, though, mate. To be fair, but it does have a river. Yeah,
like Kate Beckinsale's so distractingly hot, it takes you out of the movie. You would be like,
kind of.
you know, she'd be like, "Let's go kill the werewolf," and I'd be like,
not on her at all. You know, she's just totally pristine.
Plus, I'll give Stephen Summers credit. He seems like a guy who just wants to entertain, even if he doesn't always execute the best.
I think this film was well intentioned. It was just one of those ones that didn't hit the mark.
If I was
there
Van
were so
Helsing,
many coming out at that stage, they were trying to buy every single monster or horror kind of or comic book even thing at that stage. And I think it's just one of the ones that just didn't. It was probably rushed or something, you know.
It's too goofy.
All right, guys, we're gonna pick up on a different topic now, and I'm gonna want to hear opinions one at a time, please. We'll go in a running order just to avoid everyone talking over each other. So we're on season 4 of The Boys. I've just seen, I think it's episode 4. Now, I have fallen asleep so far watching every episode of season 4, at least like 10 to 15 minutes before the end. Now, to be fair, I am putting it on as my let's watch something before I go to bed. So we're normally talking, 3 in the morning here. But that's still not a good sign because I used to watch this late before and I'd always be kind of up and invested. My take on it is similar to some of the comments that were made earlier, which is number one, it's strayed very far from the graphic novel, which I've got. And I think there's a lot of things they could have done better. They certainly have got the money to do them, so it's not a money issue. Secondly, I've from day one, I haven't liked the casting of Carl Urban as Billy Butcher, even though I love Carl Urban as an actor. I think Craig Fairbrass should have been cast as Billy Butcher. He totally would have nailed that role.
Yeah. He's more EastEnders than Cockney, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, but it's just
that's always the impression I got from him anyway in the comic. Is that
he's
a hard West London bloke or something, you know?
Yeah, we've talked about this before. Craig Fairbrass probably would have made a good Billy the Butcher if this was actually released in the late 2000s, maybe.
Well, the idea was the character of Hughie was created with Simon Pegg in mind. It's just taken so long for them to make the damn thing.
Yeah,
it's old now.
There's also characters in it that are not in the original. That there's a bit of box ticking going on. However, the show does have strengths. It has got some good writing, has got some great performances, particularly Anthony Starr, Erin Moriarty. I like Jesse T. Usher in it as well. He's very good. I don't like what they've done with Frenchie's character. This whole narrative of him now being gay is just completely distracting. Didn't happen in the comic. Totally unnecessary. Feels forced. It feels proper forced in the show.
Because him and the girl actually seem like a cute couple, and they've kind of just fucking ruined.
Yeah, no, that and they play on that in the graphic novel. That's a big sort of narrative in the graphic novel. I don't understand why they've gone down this road. Well, I do understand. It's all
we can't have straight couples anymore.
It's all about.
We all know why it's been done.
The breeding pair archetype is dead.
Yeah, I think it's being clever satire, but it's not. It's just been the very people it's supposed to be mocking.
Yeah, it's lost its balance a bit, but let's hear from you guys one at a time. We'll have our new guests go first. So, amateur analyst, your thoughts?
Well, I definitely haven't watched season 4 because they kind of lost me at the end of season 2.
But you did. I think you did see season 3, right?
I might have seen parts of it, but I haven't sat down and watched the whole thing. I don't think I'd have to jog my memory.
Have you read the graphic novel?
No, I didn't even know there was one, honestly. So
mate, you've got to read it.
Yeah, it's pretty old. Garth Ennis, I think.
But
yeah, it's so good.
It must be wildly different because I think
it's massively different.
Carl Urban as Billy the Butcher is just fantastic. But I have no frame of reference because I didn't read the novel. But I thought his performance
I like him
great.
as Billy the Butcher. The problem is that I'm a Londoner and I can talk like that and all that, but it's so Dick Van Dyke. It's so over Cockney.
Oh right, yeah.
It's like
it's a jolly old day for Mary.
Yeah, it's great all the time because I can hear it so forced. It's not terrible. It's an okay accent, but.
Well, he's Australian, so he's probably taking the piss a little bit. This will piss off the English.
I love Carl Urban as an actor, and he also, from what I've heard, is a really nice guy. Yes, I would love to see Carl Urban do the Dredd TV show. Absolutely. That
would be wonderful because
I've been trying for years to do Mega City 1, but the rights for 2000 AD are so tied up. It's insane.
Yeah, so it's Rebellion. It's all going on at Rebellion, isn't it?
Rebellion,
I'm just waiting for that Judge Dredd, Judge Death storyline, you know. We're gazing to the fist of Dredd. I want to see that moment in a TV show. It would be so good.
There's so much potential in that universe for some really cool acerbic commentary that hopefully they wouldn't make super woke or anything. That's just not being tapped, and it's a shame. It's a shame.
Yeah, because it's so detached from reality, but yet it could be a potential future that you could have any character you want, right? And it wouldn't be an allegory of anything really, you know.
It's just all born from the 80s, post-depression, you know, the Thatcherite years, that kind of stuff, and I think it doesn't get enough respect.
There's way too much world building in there and potential for it to just, you know,
I do love this screenshot that they grabbed of their kind of
this was cool.
Kathleen Kennedy plan for Star Wars, isn't it? And I because you only see it briefly, and I've never frozen it. Look, the deep gods and dolphins, and then A Train off the tracks.
Oh God! The longer you look, the worse it gets.
Teenage Kick Sex Ed.
Teenage Kick Sex Ed, and if you've read the comic and you know about Teenage Kick, them starring in a film called Sex Ed is like
wrong.
So wrong.
Wait, this is a few times where they do satire right. Like when they had Inclusive Land, which was supposed to be like the Disneyland of that world. That was very funny. More of that, please. But no, it's all Homelander is Trump crap.
Yeah, that's one of the. I mean, Homelander is almost unrecognizable from the comics, I would say, to be honest. He's a much less capable character in the comics, and there's a massive storyline which I don't know if they are going to touch upon now that they've replaced Black Noir, that I don't want to spoil.
Yeah, let's wait.
I don't want to spoil it because it is such a what the fuck moment in the comics. It's insane.
Yeah. And Stupenzo, do you watch it? Do you want to offer a review?
No, I don't watch The Boys, and I feel like we talked about this last week, and we also talked about it again the week prior. The Boys.
I've not watched this series. I mean, because second season killed it for me. I tried to give it a go with the third season, and despite Jensen Ackles and Homelander being awesome, the series just pissed me off even more. I don't want to watch the fourth series now. I don't care for it anymore.
I tapped out the end of season 3 because what's her name, Maeve, beat Homelander, and I was just like, no.
Yeah.
I know why you've done that, and no, I'm out. I don't want to watch this anymore. It's so far removed from the comics. There was an episode of that series they did called Now Diabolical.
Yeah.
And there was an episode they did of that was based on the comics, and I really loved that. And that just made me think, why don't we just get an animated version of that? They can all do the voices they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And it'd be awesome. So The Boys is a disappointment. I like the way they fleshed out some of the characters. I think that's very good. And there are definitely things to like about it. But as with so many things, it's just strayed so far from the source material. I'd rather just read the books again, to be honest.
Your and my opinions are pretty similar. All right, let's move on. I'm going to quickly recommend an old show that I've been watching, which is North and South. I've actually been watching this over the last couple of months.
Oh my God, my mum used to love this show.
Absolutely massive, big budget TV series, one of the biggest budget of its day.
Didn't have Swayze in it?
It did.
That's why she used to love it.
I mean, the cast was huge. Yeah, Patrick Swayze, but you also had Kirstie Alley. But they had a whole load of actors from. Hal Holbrook has only just passed away, I think, last year, and he played Lincoln.
Just a Civil War thing, I presume.
It's based on 2 books. One is set just before the Civil War, which is funny enough. It's the book called North and South. The second book is actually called Love and War, but they just called it North and South Book 2 because they didn't want people to get confused.
That's honestly a smart move.
Yeah, epic miniseries. Every episode is 90 minutes long. You've got Jonathan Frakes in it before he did Star Trek The Next Generation. The entire show is available for free on YouTube. There's a couple of different people have uploaded it. It's all still there. It follows the sort of, it's a fictional story, but set against history of 2 families who are connected, but end up on opposite sides in the Civil War.
It almost sounds like War and Peace.
It's very similar. It's very similar. It's got that same vibe as War and Remembrance and The Winds of War, which came out not long after this. Lloyd Bridges is in there. You got Parker Stevenson, who would turn up in Baywatch later. Olivia de Havilland is in there. It's one of her, I think, one of her sort of last major roles.
Wow!
It's a huge cast. It's phenomenal. The music for the show was done by the same composer who did the music for Karate Kid.
Got Kurtwood Smith.
Bill Conti.
Bill Conti. And then there's all kinds of other people that pop up, like Bryan Cranston, 1986, plays a colonel. Robert Englund plays a deserter. You know,
Yeah, I just saw Kurtwood Smith in there as well.
Yeah, Leon Rippey, who's been in like absolutely everything. Got Maurice Reeves, well-known British actor. There's a lot of names in this show, and it's worth checking out if you like a big sweeping story. It's the kind of thing that you can probably watch with your girlfriend, and she'll be slightly more engaged than you. And peace will reign on the sofa for an hour and a half. But yeah, I like it. I think it's do you know what? Going back and watching it now, I can appreciate it more than when I was a kid when it came out. And it's like, when's the next battle? When's the next battle? Now I'm actually following the character storylines, and it's quite interesting, following those people. But yeah, and there's a couple of interviews with some of the cast on YouTube on various people's channels, which are quite fun to watch as well. So
it's 2 series of 6 episodes each.
I think the first book might even be 8.
Okay, it's still not too much of an investment, is it? So
no, it's pretty good. I mean, again, I think it helps if you've got a bit of an interest in history, and particularly that period. But,
all I remember of it is that it was around about the same time as Dirty Dancing, and Mum just couldn't get enough of bloody Patrick Swayze.
Yeah, it did. It came out just before.
Yeah,
just before. Interesting tidbit here: Parker Stevenson was married to Kirstie Alley for a while. That I did not know.
Oh, of course, odd.
I got to meet her in person on set in Los Angeles when she was filming a pilot, and I was
crazy, as they say.
No, she was lovely. I was in the audience, and I was quite close to the front, and the pilot was unnamed, and they kept making that an ongoing joke. And I had my notebook on me, so I said, I shouted out to her. You weren't supposed to do that, but I didn't give a fuck. And I said, Kirstie, I've got a name for you. I'm a writer from London. I've got a name for you from the show. And if the first one isn't any good, read the rest on the list. There's 149. And I wrote 149 names out for the pilot while they were, because they kept doing cuts and we had to sit around, and there was loads of downtime. And when that crap guy comes out and makes lots of silly jokes, so I just kept writing out loads of titles, and I had a list of 149. And she called me. She took it and she went, "You just wrote out all these?" And I said, "Yeah, well, I had to do something." And she said, "Some of these are really good." And I was like, "Yeah, I know." So
you want to buy them?
I don't think that pilot ever went into a series, though.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, how pilots go?
Yeah.
I mean, there is a particular, what's known as pilot season in America, where all the pilots are being done. It's kind of like through a summer hiatus. You get stacks and stacks of these pilots that are being done that are then presented to the networks, and they'll either green light series or not. I mean, I actually did a pilot for I don't know whether it was NBC or ABC, and it was hot on the heels of Band of Brothers. It was called Sam's Circus.
God, that vaguely sounds familiar. I think I know somebody else who worked on that.
It was well, it was all. I mean, we had all of the Band of Brothers guys. The fellas that I worked with on Band of Brothers. A lot of crew from Band of Brothers as well that were actually on it. But yeah, it's a shame. I mean, it appeared that it was going to be pretty good. It was playing on the popularity of Band of Brothers. But yeah, it just never got picked up. Never saw any of it. Never saw the single frame of it. So I don't know what happened to that.
Do the studios and production companies still do top pilots, or is that a thing of the past now?
Yeah.
In America, they do every year.
It's a big thing, big thing. Yeah,
pilot season is a massive
still
really
thing, because obviously they don't do. I don't know if the syndication's a thing now with streaming and everything like that, where you need your 52 episodes or whatever. So
not as much, but the pilots are still made to try and get. What they tend to do now is they'll try and make a movie that could also be a TV show.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
They make the movie, so it might be like a 90-minute pilot. This is more common now, and unless, of course, it's a half-hour comedy show, in which case that they're mainly what are being made. Half-hour comedy pitches.
Gotcha.
Is the big thing in pilot season. Okay. And then occasionally there'll be some drama, 1-hour drama pilots, and stuff
I mean,
like
the sitcoms are, you know, in comparison, relatively low budget in comparison to any kind of drama, aren't they? I mean, they're like the lowest budget.
It's the whole idea behind them, isn't it? It's pretty much one location.
Yeah.
Cheap to make. That's interesting.
Well, who would have guessed that Friends would have been the phenomenal
absolutely
success that it has. Northern, did you have something you wanted to recommend, mate? Because I don't think you've.
Oh, there's a few. I did catch the blaxploitation classic Black Mama, White Mama with Pam.
Yay! Good lad.
How can we not talk about a film with that title? It'll definitely not get me struck off. I remember.
It's definitely exploitative as well. I mean, because it begins with women showering naked, and there's this dad and everything.
I love the byline on the poster.
I'm sold.
Where they come from, this is fun.
There's not even any subtlety, is there at all?
They just all out here.
It's actually a pretty good film. I mean, it's not. Tell me if you think that I'm wrong here, Northern, but it isn't really what you think it is from the title, is it? It's not quite what you think it is.
Yeah, I mean, the characters aren't fully complex. You get what their goals are, and one's trying to escape, and the other's trying to lead the revolution. But the women seem to be very cool about it. I know Pam Grier was very adamant to get nude as well, because she wanted to do something called the brown nipple revolution.
Yeah,
to quote her, it's one of those films where they just don't give a shit. They obviously became a cult favorite. Tarantino was inspired by this as well, and it probably this is what got him noticed with got Pam Grier noticed towards him. But it's definitely got a cult vibe here.
It's actually a good movie, and
it is.
Yeah, it's actually one of the better, higher quality blaxploitation movies, and I mean, I'm so pleased that you brought this one up. I mean,
is it like a female version of the Defiant Ones?
You think that it's a female version of the Defiant Ones, but it isn't. You think that's where it's going, but it really isn't. It's not the Defiant Ones.
Looks like it's worth a watch.
I love the way you can see that chain is plastic. in this shot, thanks to high-res quality digital photos. Now they're dressed as nuns.
There's no James Corden in there, Nix. It's a very gorgeous black woman and a very gorgeous blonde woman, and loads of hot women get naked at the beginning. You'll love it.
Right.
See, that's how you sell movies.
That's a strong opener, man.
That's a pitch in an LA meeting room right there.
Yeah. This is not the first film as well to have Pam Grier in some kind of cage. I think there was one called Women in Cages as well.
Women in Cages, yeah. I'll send that one over to you, mate. I've got that one. I'll send it.
It's even less subtle.
Do you, Inside Man, do you literally own every blaxploitation? What on earth's going on there?
This one's getting tortured by these like drug dealers. It's the men are proper scumbags. The women on it are scumbags. Everyone's a scumbag on it. It's just these two end up being less of a scumbags compared to the others. And
look at this guy's low-rent cowboy jacket with the tassels on it. That looks like my children's cowboy playset that I had. My parents bought me as a kid.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a product of its time, but you gotta love it. It just doesn't give a shit, and I love it for it.
Yeah.
It's a nice shot.
Some of them are really, really well shot. Really well directed, well shot, well acted. I have got a lot of blaxploitation. Probably I don't know, about 150 or so, maybe a few more.
God, she was gorgeous back then.
I'm so glad that Tarantino gave Pam Grier her due and because he wrote Jackie Brown especially for her, didn't he?
Because he was obsessed with Pam Grier he almost had her on Pulp Fiction as Lance's girlfriend, but he decided to go with Rosanna Arquette because the audience would not buy that Lance would give Pam Grier shit and she would take it the way Rosanna Arquette did.
Just saying that sentence out loud, he almost had her on the set of Pulp Fiction, but as Lance's girlfriend is very complex on this stream. Can be somebody tuning in.
Disclaimer.
Could misconstrued what that meant, but we're talking about Pulp Fiction.
Lance from Pulp Fiction, played by Eric Stoltz, the guy who played Rocky Dennis,
and not Lance Quentin Tarantino, who looks like Quentin.
You wish
Is Eric Stoltz the guy that was supposed to be Marty McFly?
Yeah,
he was. He shot several times. Yeah, he did. He filmed for about 2 weeks, I think.
And he ended up being Brundlefly Jr.
Yes, in The Fly 2.
Yeah. Brundlefly.
I'll never forget that scene with the maggot. So
yeah, it's hideous.
Yeah, that was horrendous. So I feel I need to check this movie out again. I have seen this film. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's a good movie, and I'll get Women in Cages over to you as well.
As you say, it's lots and lots of pretty ladies, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic recommendation. Northern, did you have another one?
Yeah, I watched Double Indemnity for the first time.
Oh, yes.
With Fred McMurray and Barbara Stanwyck. It's it's a fucking really dark film where this woman's just manipulating this guy to kill her husband, and and he ends up kind of getting roped into it, and it's very
Isn't that the
dark.
one where you can't be accused of a murder if you've already been accused of a murder thing?
No, that's double. That's double jeopardy, as opposed to double indemnity.
But and to be honest, I cannot watch that scene where he's kissing Barbara Stanwyck without thinking of Steve Martin dressed up as a woman in Dead Man Don't Wear Plaid. It's
I like this modern poster. That's pretty
nice, isn't it?
That's pretty cool. Yeah,
I like that poster.
Proper old school movie as well. Proper dark old school sleazy thriller.
Yeah, sort of full of like sleazy gumshoe types and all of that. It's got that film noir vibe, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I saw it, but it was a long time ago. It was one of those films that got put on a Sunday afternoon, because reason I remember it is because of this hair that she has. Because she looks kind of so intimidating with this haircut, this fringe. Almost gives her like a Frankenstein vibe. And I remember as a kid thinking, this woman's hair doesn't feel right to me, Mum. I don't
know if this was the first time he was starring with her, or if there was because he did another one with her called Remember the Night, and it's a much more softer film as well, and they do actually have really good chemistry, at least, so especially in Remember the Night.
I remember this scene actually. Yeah, she's got such a creepy vibe in this scene, the way that she's lit and everything.
Oh yeah, she's just pure bloody evil. She's definitely a toxic woman.
What would you give this out of 10?
Oh, I'll give it 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
The way it's shot, everything. I just love the moody atmosphere, just the twisted nature of it. I just love it.
Sorry, and I didn't ask you. What would you give Women in Chains out of 10?
I'll give it maybe 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, because I'll give it 10 out of 10. It's a classic. It's got a little bit of a slop to it, but it is still kind of well done, and you can still see.
And we're being very generous with our rating.
Masterpieces all round, yeah.
Depenzo, have you got another recommendation?
Yeah.
Go for it.
You want to hear about? Well, I guess we'll talk about. Me and Blue Collar and Wes talked about it. We saw Kinds of Kindness, Yorgo's new movie. It was wild. I liked it. I feel like I'm gonna like it more the more I watch it. It's weird. It's definitely art house, strange. But I mean, if you know Yorgos, whatever his last name's movies are like, they're very strange.
Or something, isn't it?
Yeah. And, he's doing the exact opposite of Poor Things, which he was like his most successful movie so far.
Okay.
And I appreciate that. This kind of had like Magnolia vibes, where it's like contemporary Los Angeles. It's very well filmed, CinemaScope, very, weird, outlandish, dark sense of humor. And it's all very, metaphors for spirituality and religion and cults and stuff. But what's interesting based on the trailer, I have to tell you all that this movie does it's like kind of not falsely advertised, but this movie purposely doesn't really tell you what it's about. Based on the trailer, I thought this was going to be some kind of sprawling crime movie, or maybe corrupt businessmen, lawyers, or gangsters. I don't know, like decades following like a group of people, but actually it's an anthology with just like the same cast and different roles. So that's why when you're watching this trailer, you're like, man, this Jesse Plemons character plays like he's like a cop and a businessman and all these different like walks of life. So it is an anthology. It's like
three, isn't it? It's 3 films, I think.
Which is why the titles say Kinds of Kindness ×3. Blue, red,
okay,
yellow.
yeah, I get it. Yeah.
It's also the song Sweet Dreams. That song's kind of antithetical for the whole movie, being used and wanting to use people and abuse.
Sweet dreams are made of these. That one.
Rhythmics, presumably not the Marilyn Manson version.
Anyway, I would recommend it. If Blue Collar or Wes were here, they'd tell you it sucked. But then again, there are a couple of dum-dums. So
I was going to check it out, but I could not work out what it was about from the trailer.
It's weird. It's very weird, and it's one of those movies that'll be. Here's the thing I was saying, and we all agreed on this, the 3 of us. It's like whether you liked it or not, it should be seen because this movie does need to be talked about and discussed. Whatever the hell it's trying to say. I think we need to talk about it more. So maybe we'll save it for another week where you guys watch it and you can put in your 2 cents.
What is happening here with the dog?
There's a lot of crazy footage of like dogs doing human things in one part of the movie. It's like 2 dogs driving a car in black and white. It's funny, dude. It's weird.
You see, this is
for
the
no
kind
reason
of film where somebody says it's art house, and I'm like, yeah, it's art house. Where somebody turns around and goes, in the nature of violence is art house. I'm like, no, it's just shit. This looks like it's actually saying something. I don't know what it's saying. But it looks like it's saying something.
Because we were talking about it on Luke's channel with Perfect Blue, how you've got popcorn movies on one end of the good movie spectrum, and then you've got avant-garde, art house, weird stuff on the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And like Perfect Blue and your other really good movies, you want them to be like right in the middle. This one is kind of on the heavy art house side, but it was weird. It's worth seeing. The other couple things I watched, Vex recommended The Devil's Bath, which was this crazy folk horror movie. And basically in a nutshell, basically like, you don't want to commit suicide. So you commit like a horrific crime in order to get like sentenced to death and go to heaven because you get forgiven your sins, in church. But it's like one of those crazy movies where the main character,
sure.
Yeah. Main characters like losing their mind over time. And it's one of those crazy films, but it reminded me of a slightly better movie from 2017 that I recommended to her, and I hope she checks it out. But it's called Hagazusa, and I kept forgetting what it was called, but that one's weird, man. And the Devil's Bath, more of like a suspense. Yeah, more of like a suspense thriller with creepy imagery, whereas Hagazusa is like a straight like folk horror, kind of like The Witch. But both of these movies are like, foreign, European 17th, 16th century, whatever, like almost Vikings, Nordic people living in peasant life and dealing with, strange or supernatural spooky stuff. This movie was dark and twisted. Don't get me wrong. Hagazusa is kind of an anthology, but it's got one main character. But both of these movies together would be a great double feature, like a folk horror.
Love folk horror. Love folk horror.
Yeah. So if you like The Witch and you want subtitles, check out Devil's Bath and Hagazusa.
Have you seen Enzo? Have you seen A Field in England?
Oh my God, that's a strange movie.
I think so.
Field in England. Yeah.
Yes, I have.
Yeah. It's,
dude, Ben Wheatley. I love Ben Wheatley. Yeah.
Ben Wheatley.
Yeah.
My favorite, one of my favorite extreme horror movies I always recommend, because people always say, Terrifier, Serbian film, Human Centipede, whatever. I always say, Martyrs is another good one, but Kill List. That's a Ben Wheatley.
I've got a couple of friends in Kill List, and I know the lead as well.
Kill List is badass and legit terrifying.
Yeah. It's like it kind of starts off like a normal Hitman movie, then goes full Wicker Man at the end. It's crazy.
Yeah, it gets all Pizzagate-y.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I got. I would say, 6 stars for Kinds of Kindness, but it might go up to 8 after I watch it a few more times. And then, as far as like Devil's Bath, I'd say 7.5 and Hagazusa an 8. Hagazusa is great. I loved it.
So, does anyone have anything they want to mention quickly before we begin to wrap up? As it's almost 14 minutes to midnight here.
Ooh.
Anyone?
A little mention of Blind Fury with Rutger Hauer, which is probably one of the few times he got to play a very light-hearted role.
We have mentioned it on the Nielsen ratings before.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm quite happy to give it a quick shout out again because it definitely is a guilty pleasure of mine. Not a film that's aged well, but its cheese has percolated perfectly. So
he doesn't have much chemistry with the kid, but the villains are very fun. And I did not know it was a remake of an old 60s kind of like episodic movie series as well, which I'm gonna try.
Actually, I didn't know that until you just told me right now.
Longstreet. Was it Longstreet? Was it Longstreet?
Something like that. Zatochi.
Zatochi, the blind swordsman.
The blind swordsman.
All right. Yeah. Sorry, I seem to remember there was a cop series called Longstreet in the late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah, no, that's about General Longstreet traveling in time. Different show.
Yeah, we talked about this like back when I recorded that we watch, but I remember me and my cousin just kept making fun of like how he's like this blind guy who meets this kid for like a few minutes and then like they're like nuzzling faces all the time.
Yeah, that's what I was a bit.
Like, the kid's like, no, they're too close too quickly. That's weird.
This was produced by Tim Matheson, the actor from the Dirty Harry Magnum Force, and of course Fletch. Yeah, this is the first time he produced a film, so he produced this. I keep forgetting as well, like you had Lisa Blount, who was like, sadly no longer with us, but she was a real hottie back in the day. Meg Foster, who's got some of the most beautiful eyes in the industry, also in this film. I bet there are stills of them if we scan through. Going to see it.
She's in this movie. She's in the movie kind of briefly.
I watched your rewatch Enzo on this as well, and as soon as Meg Foster turned up, she was like, "She's got some creepy eyes, man." Okay.
Yeah, my cousin was like, "What the hell is with her eyes, dude?"
Randall Tex Cobb.
He's funny. He is.
He was in Uncommon Valor. He had a really good career until he met cocaine, and then.
Dude, I watched Ernest Goes to Jail recently, and he's in that one. Oh man, it's amazing.
His film
had Howard is very funny in this as well because he usually plays these very dark, serious roles. But here is you wouldn't think this was the same guy who played the Hitcher.
This is a very weird shot.
Yeah, when the little boy like straddles his lap and they like untie each other's handcuffs. Also, when the little Asian man is teaching him how to use the sword in that last he like puppet thing, and like Rutger Hauer's like 2 feet taller than all the Asian dudes. I don't know. He's like a blind helicopter dude from Vietnam. He crashes and gets wounded, and for some reason, these Vietnamese villagers like rehabilitate him and teach him how to use the sword. It's like it's so silly.
Like you do.
You can't.
He's lucky that he cut his. He's lucky that he cut his dick off, put it in his mouth, like in Dead Presidents. Disembowel him and put him on a tree.
Brandon Cool, the kid in this movie, interestingly, by the way, did the voice of one of the characters in Disney's The Black Cauldron. So, there you go. And he was acting until the mid-90s, but he appears to have disappeared.
Child actors tend to do that for some reason.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Yeah, look at the kid who played Damien. He went on to be a lawyer after that. Quit acting straight away.
Yeah, I can't. Inside Man, I can't find any source on Blind Fury of it. Only that Matheson had been a fan of the Zakatoshi film series, The Tale of Zakatoshi.
Yeah.
Fictional character created by Japanese novelist about a blind masseuse and swordsman. Okay, good combination.
I remember where this little boy's from. So I always have to bring it back to another we watch, but in Warlock, he's the little kid that Julian Sands boils and turns into soup so he can fly.
Michael Ceratops is here in the house fresh from his dinosaur
Got
stream.
off work.
Yeah, so yeah, Blind Fury. There's got to be a cool picture of Meg Foster here somewhere. Come on, there she is. Creepy eyes, but I mean, those eyes are like so piercing.
Like, are you blind? Like, can you even see with those things? Like,
It's like ice blue, man.
Yeah, they are. And because remember, she's in Canon's He-Man Masters of the Universe, and she does look really cool in that movie.
yeah, everyone thought her eyes were contacts in that movie.
And they're not.
No.
Yeah,
did she
they're
not
not.
Look
do
at
that
his
before?
great beard. Go back one frame.
I like the wig. Oh, look at the wig in that. That's a big wig right there.
Nothing looks real on his whole head.
No.
That's amazing.
You're blind, so you don't know how to put your wig on properly.
Right.
It's a stupid film, it really is. But I did have fun. I give it a 7 out of 10, to be honest.
I love it. I loved it.
Adrian Sherlock says he misses the days when producers wanted to sell movie tickets and not change society.
Yeah.
I think that's a massive. The art of entertainment's been lost. I think to a certain extent.
I would agree.
It's been corporatized. I bet you there's
Right.
lots of great shit out there that never sees the light of day because it's
Hagazusa.
the guys with the money that picks what gets made.
Almost
Andrew, you came in late, so could you in the private chat? Could you just chuck your link for your YouTube channel quickly in the private chat, and I'll put it in the main chat.
Adrian?
Sorry, not Andrew. Amateur analyst. That's the one.
Yeah,
I
sure.
can't remember.
It's my dyslexia again. I do
I'm
apologize.
like, Andrew's here? Who's
No, not
I
not
thought
actually Andrew.
Andrew was here. I'm like, what?
Actually, Andrew's a different person. Sorry, Amateur. Could you chuck me your link so
Yeah.
I can just give it a plug in the chat before we start to wrap up. Critical. Thanks for coming on the channel first time. What do you got coming up, mate? Anything you want to plug?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me. It's been great.
Not at all.
I've got I've written the 3 reviews for those films: A Violent Nature, Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, and Blood and Gold. So I'll be recording those and getting those up for the next couple of days. So hopefully people will check those out. And I'm working on a piece called Star Wars: From a New Hope to No Hope, which will go through.
Interesting title.
Well, I think with the Acolyte, we are well and truly at no hope. I think it's a parody now at this stage, and I don't see it getting any better. So yeah, that'll be coming up. It's a long video, so it'll take me a little while to work on, but hopefully people will check that out. And other than that, if I see anything that's either worth talking about or so bad that people need to be warned about it, I'll be doing a video of it.
Sweet.
Fabulous. Northern, what you got coming up, mate? What you want to plug?
Well, I've still got my Bastards breakdowns of the Jerk with Babs Lawrence and Critical. You're coming on out, yeah?
I will be there. I'll be that one. Yeah, it's Friday night, isn't it?
And so, man, I've sent you.
Yeah, I've got your invitation. Thank you. Yeah, if I can, mate, I absolutely will. But I'll try my hardest.
Yep. And as for reviews, I have not got a clue. I'm trying to catch Horizon because I want to see that and review that as well.
I've seen Horizon. Actually, I should have mentioned that. I did a separate review of it. I should have mentioned it. I will mention it quickly before we go, as you reminded me. But anything else you want to plug before I do that?
No, nothing else at the moment.
So regarding Horizon, because I've been ranting about this film, I went to see it opening day. It got a very limited release in the UK, small screens only. None of the big sort of premiere screens seemed to have it, which was a shame. So I felt like I was watching it in a very, I wanted to see it in a kind of like a 35mm, 70mm kind of setting, and that's not what I got. But I think what people need to understand going in is it is half a movie. And this half is all about setting everything up. So people who don't mind that and are quite happy to invest time in good plot and characters, and I'm totally invested in all the characters.
It's 3 hours long, isn't it?
It is 3 hours long. It's a slow opening 10 minutes, but the remaining 2.5 hours whizzes by.
Okay.
When it's sort of the end kind of happened, and the last 5 minutes of the movie is really a trailer for the second half, and it just organically bleeds into that trailer, so you're not even sure what's happening, and then you suddenly realize, oh, hang on, we're now in a trailer for the rest of the story. Okay.
The second half's not far away either, is it? It's August.
No, it's in August. Beautifully acted, amazingly shot, feels very old school. Looks incredible, but I feel that a younger audience will find the film very discombobulating and won't necessarily turn up for part 2. And that's a shame, but I don't think, because the narratives, there are no narratives that complete in this first half. I mean, apart from some people that get killed, and obviously they're out the story, but you've got a lot of setup for about 5 different storylines, of which Kevin Costner's character is only one, so he doesn't like dominate the whole film, which actually was a good thing. Just because
3 hours is quite the investment as well. Apparently, he wants to make 4. Jeez.
Yeah, and I think between you and me, he's probably shot enough footage for most of it already. Judging from what I've seen.
That's good, because I'm not sure he's going to get a lot more money, because it's not doing
no, because it's not doing great. I think it will probably do a lot better on streaming. Where people can see parts 1 and 2 right after each other.
See, I think looking at this now, I mean, I think if you sort of examine this properly, it looks like that the distributors and theatre chains have hamstrung him because they feel that it's not going to be reaching a particular demographic that goes to the audience, to the theatres. I think it's a very, very deliberate move, and it's a great shame because we don't get movies like this.
No, we don't.
Now, I think it's a terrible shame.
Yeah, I mean, I have a feeling. I said this on my review, but there's a lot of metaphorical stuff in Horizon, and I mean, the basic plot is about loads of people being given a false promise of a new life in a town that basically doesn't exist.
It's the Great American Expansion, isn't it?
Yeah, and that whole narrative also kind of, parallels not only the dying of the American West, but oddly feels like you're watching the dying of American cinema. This very much feels like this might be the last film of its type. We don't have many auteurs that get to make films like this. You've got Quentin Tarantino.
And he's only got He's only got one film left, and that's it. He's gone.
Didn't he just walk away from a project?
I hope Tarantino makes films until he drops, personally.
Yeah.
But I know he wants to write books and do plays and all these other things. I mean, these shots in the film are absolutely incredible. There's no shortage of them. There is.
Who directed it?
Costner directed it.
No, really?
Yeah. He directed it.
Wow.
I mean, there is action in the film. Let's see if we can just get past all the premiere pictures and get some more pictures of the actual thing. Here we go.
And there are 3 hours seems like a long investment to only see half a story. That's what I basically thought. So if it's still around in August, then I'd check them both out. But
well, I think I mean, we'll definitely get part 2 because it's already scheduled for release. I think that he just wanted to make this the way he wanted to make it. He probably thought, look, I mean, at the end of the day, if you've got that amount of money in the bank, what's going to happen to it when you're dead?
Yeah, no, totally, absolutely.
You can't spend it, can you?
Yeah.
So he probably saw 1883 and went, "Oh, I can do better than that."
Yeah, well, he did his vanity project with Waterworld, didn't he? And if you watch the Ulysses cut of Waterworld, it's actually not a bad movie. It adds a lot to it that was removed.
I never hated Waterworld as much as everyone else.
Have you seen the Ulysses cut? It puts about 40 minutes back into it.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, it's good.
It is good.
This shot, for example, is in the trailer at the end of this film, so it's not even in part 1. I
think I'll definitely catch this on streaming then, to be honest, because there's no way I'll get my missus to go and watch this for 3 hours.
No, I mean, if you can't,
what's Sam Worthington like in it?
He's actually pretty good.
Is he?
He's
Oh,
actually
fair enough.
pretty good. Yeah. 'Cause
I
he
did
can
see him
be
in the trailer,
quite-
and I was like, "Oh, that's what he's doing."
Well,
I don't-
he's playing the love interest for one storyline, and actually, it's believable. It works.
Okay, cool.
I don't think he's that bad of an actor. I just think he's been in so many bad things.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
just,
definitely. Yeah.
We just have typecast him as
I
a
think
bad
he's
actor.
he's had a bad agent potentially, but he's
This
made a lot
guy,
of money out of Avatar. So
This guy, Jamie Campbell Bower, is awesome in it. I'm gonna-
so he's in Stranger Things, isn't he? He's the villain in it.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great villain in this as well. Sienna Miller's great in it.
and we
shit,
shouldn't have to
that's the
ask
same
this
guy,
this
okay.
these days, Lance. But I presume this film is authentic and not woke.
No, it's not. You've got strong female characters in it doing making decisions and doing things that fit within the historical context and time frame. You haven't got women suddenly being superb horsemen and superb marksmen with a rifle within 30 seconds. But there are some women in it that will pick up a gun or a hatchet.
Yeah, but they're tough because they need to be.
Yes,
because of the
it's
environment.
all in a realistic context of trying to survive on the frontier and protecting your kids and that kind of thing. These are basically printed by the thousand, and people have sold plots of land at this town.
Oh, so that's the name of the town. Okay, yeah.
That essentially doesn't really exist yet. It does exist, but every time people go there, the Indians kill them.
Gotcha. Okay.
So the town actually hasn't come to be yet. And then there's all these other people heading there who've also been sold one of these things, and pure and abundant water. Yeah, well, that part of it is true. So it's. I mean, if you get a chance to see it at the cinema, absolutely do. But if you don't, support it by another means, because I just think this film is going to be a metaphor for the dying of this kind of movie, like the American West before it. This is going to be the last of this type of film I think we're going to see, unfortunately, because I'd much rather watch this than another fucking Marvel movie. I'm not allowed to say that. Than a Marvel movie. Yeah. But it's. I thought it was good, but I can't rate it until I've seen the second half. I've seen half a film. It is called Part 1 for a reason. It's not got that Lord of the Rings, Fellowship. Okay, I've seen the first chapter, but the Fellowship felt like it had a beginning, middle, and end. This just feels like the beginning.
So it just feels like a film that's just been cut in half.
It's the setup part of the film. It sets up all the characters, gets you invested in them, but doesn't conclude any of the narratives. They're all still coming up to the midway point of their stories when the film ends. So
hopefully it finds its narrative on its audience on streaming. Then what do the critics say about it?
Lots of mixed views. So
it's a 7.1 right now.
Amateur, did you have anything you wanted to plug, mate?
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna be on Jay's channel tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow.
Oh, the Gooch.
The Gooch. Yeah, we're doing our animated movie night, and this week is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Very good.
An awesome little movie. And then after that, I think on Thursday night we're doing Demon Slayer. It's sort of our we're going like 2 episodes at a time, just reviewing the entire first 2 seasons, I think.
Very good show.
Yeah, I like it so far. I'm not a big anime.
It's got a lot of heart
but
to it. The relationship between the brother and his sister is just so good.
Yeah, I think we're at like episode 6 now, and it's
okay. I won't say anything
so far, but
yes, it's good. It is good.
It feels like it's going somewhere, but that's all I got in the near future.
There's some filler in it, but there always is an anime. It's just a thing. But in general, it is very good. And I don't like a lot of new anime, but I did like Demon Slayer.
I did like Scavengers. I thought Scavengers Reign, which Stepenzo recommended to me, and I have to say I quite enjoyed it. Especially, it was just so bizarre, but it was original.
Yeah.
It was great to see something original,
Yeah.
One of the things I love about the Japanese is they just really put the story at the heart of everything.
Scavengers Reign is French, but still.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
got
anime
that,
style, but
yeah, it's got that
Sort of.
French graphic novel.
How much of it is there? Is it a series or
Was it
Scavenger.
10 half hours, wasn't it?
something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole thing is about 3. Yeah, it's about I can't remember how many episodes, but each episode's like 30 minutes. So I think you watch the whole thing in like 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah,
I watched
10
it
or-
in 2 sittings.
10 or 12 eps.
So it's not
beautiful.
One Piece. It's got like 1,000 episodes then.
Yeah,
No, it's
Beautiful-
one,
no, beautiful
one 12
animation.
episode season.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll check that out. Scavengers. Cool.
Wicked. Right. Well, I think that's about it from us. I'd like to thank everybody who's come in the chat, made comments, including Michael Sarah, who's popped in again to see us. Western Lord of the Rings, a fellowship of cowboys travel to the Mexican-American border to drop a horse show in a Petrillo. That sounds like a movie I would watch. Yeah, thanks for everyone making comments. Thanks for liking, subscribing, all that bollocks. Thank you to my panel, who included Jacob Ironside, who left earlier, Critical Reviews, and amateur analyst coming in for the first time, as well as my regulars, Depenzo, Northern English Mustard, the Inside Man, and of course, Blue Collar Loser, who is currently trapped inside the boot of his car and cannot get to his device.
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, tomorrow, me and my cousin watch Roger Corman's Queen of Blood. So that's what we watch tomorrow.
What time's that going to be,
check that out.
Spencer?
What time is that?
2:30 Central Standard Time. So what? 7 p.m. your time?
Nice.
Right.
Okay.
Or 8:30.
Anyone else?
England time.
Sorry, Stupenzo, I forgot to ask you to plug shit, man.
Don't worry.
Anything else you wanted to mention, Stupenzo?
That's it.
Just that. Fantastic. All right, then.
Funny
Well,
episode.
I guess that's it. So we're going to duck out now with a intro to a classic American. No, not American. Not American. British science fiction series. Until next week, Band of Brothers. We are doing that at 8 o'clock this coming Sunday. I am going to be slightly hungover. Inside Man will be doing much of the talking. So that's 8 o'clock UK time on the channel. And then we've got Game of Thrones on Monday. I might be doing Acolyte tomorrow if I have to.
I watched 5 because I was told that the lightsaber fight was amazing.
Yeah.
I watched 1 and 2, gave up, watched 5, but the writing is so bad. I just can't.
We spoke about the Acolyte briefly earlier, and that's all the time we're going to give it. So until next week, that's it
It's
from
all time
us.
it deserves.
Take care.